we're so connected to the brand and the company that there's things that we just don't want to let go of. And I just learned that I had to let go and trust my team with certain elements and not be on every single thing, to really strategize my time. And I would say, even as a father, like, there's a lot of things that pull on me, but it's like, there are definitely more priorities I make for my children now that I didn't. Having lunch with my kids at school in elementary, that's so important. Like, I never did that years ago. It's easy when my little 8-year-old, she'll be like, Dad, can you carry me? And I'm like, no, you can walk. But now I'm like, I'll pick you up. Because I don't know how much longer she's gonna be asking me that. Yeah, or how much I can do that. So those are little things where I say no to that I say yes to more.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Broadcast Your Authority. I'm here with my co-host Danielle.
Hey everybody.
And I'm super excited for our next guest, Brad Leavitt from A Finer Touch Construction. Danielle actually found his Instagram, his company's Instagram, years back. And we're super drawn to the company and the attention to detail and everything you put into the efforts of the homes and the construction you built. So we're just super grateful to have you here today, Brad.
Well, I'm excited. Yeah, Instagram's been a great tool for us. And, it definitely caters to our audience, looking at homes. It's very visual. So it's definitely a great platform for us.
And you cater to more like the finer touch, the luxury, the large homes, the different areas, and like Scottsdale, I know specifically is what we saw first. We saw the really cool drone shots of these big homes out on the mountains and things like that. And can you share a little bit about how you got into this space? Like, what actually allowed you to create the idea of this, or the passion behind it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I actually grew up in San Diego in construction, very blue collar. My grandfather retired from the Navy, started an electrical company. He had 6 boys. My dad was one of them. My dad was the youngest. And so all my dad and my 5 uncles were all electricians. So I just kind of grew up in construction in the trades. And when I was a teenager, working in San Diego, we worked in these nice areas, Coronado, La Jolla, Rancho Santa Fe, some beautiful homes. And I loved it. And, being the younger of the cousins at the time that was working there at our family electrical firm, I had to go under the crawl spaces under the house and in the attics. And so I did a lot of the grunt work as a kid. And, I really appreciated working on these fine homes. Like, they're these beautiful homes. And I just had a passion for it at a young age. And then, it doesn't happen overnight. There's a long journey there. Went to college, did construction management, ended up here in Phoenix in 2005, and was able to work on the Omni Mauna Lucia, which is on Lincoln and Tatum, this beautiful hotel resort, which kind of catapulted that experience. And then started my company, and it was very humble beginnings, like most people. I mean, you just start out trying to get any job you can. And going back to Instagram, that was, being fairly young, starting my company, even though I had experience in the trades and as a general contractor. It was just a way to kind of show our thought leadership, right? To show the quality, show, our passion for building science and like healthy home living and how that plays a role. And, it's just an avenue where we can showcase what we're passionate about. And then, over the years, it's taken off.
I love that. How did you, so you went in from like the resort angles, and then went into like luxury homes. Like, when was like the first like actual home side that you built?
No, it's a great question. So I wanted to do custom homes right away. And it's really hard when you haven't had traditional experience, like anything, right? What's your experience? How do you go build $1 million home for somebody with no experience? So the company I worked for was hired to do the Mauna Lucia. And what's unique about the Mauna Lucia is you do have the hotel. So you have like 300 guest rooms, and there's a wedding chapel. A lot of weddings are here. It's a spa and, hair salon, all these amazing amenities. But there's actually 34 residences that live at the hotel full time. Wow. Or at least have property there. They may vacation, but they have a home. And so there's 34 custom homes that are all about 4,500 square feet. So good size homes. Yes. And so these are luxury homes that have hotel amenities. And so that was experience, doing the custom homes. And then after, we did a lot of what you call scatter lots, custom home here, one here, one here. And this is in a rough time. I mean, anyone that knows Phoenix, 2009, 10, 11 was like brutal. It's so bad for us in construction. So when I started my company, it was the same thing. Like, I didn't have a custom home to start, even though I had built a lot. I'd worked on the 34 at Mauna Lucia and many after that. But it took years to like get someone to finally say, we want to trust AFT, right? A Finer Touch Construction, to build our house. And then from there, it's just, one at a time, and you start proving your credibility. And, and to your point, now we've worked on some amazing homes that some as big as 35,000 square feet with incredible amenities.
That's incredible. What's been your favorite project?
Oh, that's a good question. It's hard to pick because there's so many unique. Yeah. It's funny, like it's such an emotional process, right? Yeah. Working with clients. There's a lot of dollars being invested. Mm-hmm. It's long. Like most of our projects are not less than 3 years. When you think about design to permit and then vertical construction. So these are long relationships. So I think everyone's unique in the relationships you build. I would say, some are different for certain reasons because of the unique characteristics or upgrades, if you will, or amenities. But I think one that really pushed us was we did one called Project Blow Your Mind, and it had a lazy river and a trampoline barn. And
that's
yeah, so, tennis court, had a baseball field. There were a lot of unique amenities, going throughout the build, which really challenged us in a lot of ways and really helped us in some ways. I'd say expose a few weaknesses we had at the time, just in our process. And, it's those projects you're like, okay, there's a little bit of self-reflection to figure out these are changes we need to make so that we can deliver better, down the road.
Mm-hmm. So what does the process look like when somebody's like, okay, I want to work with you? What budget is the minimum that you even accept?
I love that question. It's funny because I'll have clients ask me that. And construction is such a difficult profession. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, you're dealing with a very heightened personal process and it's very expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's very long. And so I've always taken the stance that I don't have a minimum, but I just want to work for good people that really value what we bring to the table. However, with that said, like there is minimums as far as what makes sense for the client, right? Mm-hmm. Because the way we operate our business, to be able to cater to these larger, more complex projects, we don't self-perform. So I don't have my own framers. Mm-hmm. I don't have my own electricians on staff, right? I subcontract these. Yeah. And so because of that, if you're trying to do a small kitchen remodel, it's not really advantageous financially for the customer to hire a firm like such as myself, mm-hmm. because the way we layer our project management and our supervision and our team, the systems we have and the software. But when a client's doing a major renovation, maybe they're adding on to the house and, kind of demoing, if you will, the entire interior, it makes a lot more sense for us. Mm-hmm. And so we look at projects when a client will call me, and make that first initial call. It's really vetting what's the project scope, what's the duration. We talk about budget. Mm-hmm. I'm open book cost plus. I share all my pricing. So it's pretty easy to not play this cat mouse game. Like, well, if I tell the builder what I'm going to spend, then they're just going to price to it. Yeah. We operate a little bit differently. So in that way it gives the customer a little bit more, trust in that process so they can understand what the cost will be.
Do you ever get people that are like, okay, I want this glassware from Italy and then I want these products for this door from Spain? Like, do you have to ship in products?
That's a great question. We do. Okay. And what helps though is to work with interior designers on every project. And so the designers will work with us, with our vendors. We have a lot of vendors. We have a lot of relationships locally, nationally, internationally that help with some of these things. Here in town, it's kind of nice. There's actually a few boutique firms that kind of curate this product. They'll go. So speaking of Project Blow Your Mind, they have like 2 prison doors from like old prisons in France. Oh, cool. They have, we put in 2 fountains. One of them is their kitchen sink, one of their kitchen sinks. And it's probably 1,000 years old. There was hand carved stone that they shipped here that we converted into their kitchen sink. And so there's actually a firm that curates, goes to Europe, buys these really unique pieces at these wholesale, ships them here. And then we can kind of go pick and choose. So, that's so cool. It does help with some of those really like custom, one-off antique
and
things.
And it's already here. And you just go shop it.
Yeah. And what's fun is whether you're doing a super modern, like very modern home or very traditional or something in between, you can mix like old heirlooms, like old pieces with brand new and still make it look as long as it like fits the aesthetic. So.
That is so cool.
No, you guys are super detailed through your processes. Like when I've watched several of your Instagram videos, I'm like just the detail and the thought that you can just tell like how well you put things together and how much you guys care. Like it's just because you can see like regular mainstream construction companies here, they come in and here's the model and stuff like that. But like it's just so beautiful what you guys have been able to curate for your clientele. It's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, again, not to take a lot of credit. I mean, we have some great people that work for us on my team.
Of course. We
have some amazing architects and designers we work with. We have great relationships with some of our, as I mentioned, our vendors that are very efficient. I probably like you both, I'm very fascinated with business, right? And so I love networking with entrepreneurs and business owners outside of construction because construction is very prehistoric in a lot of ways. You know, it's like, this is how I've done it. This is how we do it. We're very slow to adapt. And so we've tried to be very adaptive of technology. And, you know, QR codes is one. We are early adapters of QR codes and how we could, you know, use design information to QR codes in the house. And so then our trade partners and those working in the house, they can scan the QR code, they can see the details. And if there's changes, which there always are in construction, we can upload them behind the scenes. We can make sure that they're up to date. The QR code never changes, but the link will be updated, you know, to latest and greatest. And so there's just little things we try to do to eliminate mistakes. Now they're always going to happen because there's so much telephone game, you know, passing this information, and you're dealing with, in most cases, an unskilled labor force. We're, you know, trying to work on that. I think, you know, not to divert the conversation too much, but, you know, trades were taken out of school, you know, shop was taken out of school, and kids were just pushed, go to college, don't worry about the trades. And so we're seeing this resurgence now of younger generation coming into the trades. And so it's a struggle now, but I think in the years to come, people are seeing, you know, the avenue that maybe college isn't for them, and there's opportunity to go in the trades and make a wonderful living.
Exactly. My brothers are exactly that. Really good with their hands, woodwork and construction, plumbing, all of that.
Be on the field. Instead of behind a desk or on a computer.
Exactly. Yeah. And just being able to push them more to trade school. That's great. How are you seeing AI integrated in the, like, even with like the architectures, like when they're doing drawings, are they becoming more efficient with AI, or are they still just mapping everything out by hand? Or?
Do you guys use AI?
We do. It's a great question. Yeah. AI is like taking over for everybody. I mean, you know, in the beginning when AI was starting, we're like, okay, how does this incorporate for us? But we're just seeing now with AI, the way we can process information, right? There's a lot of, contractual aspects to construction, right? Because you're worried about legal things, you're, you know, looking at safety of job sites. So being able to, whether it's marketing strategies, whether it's documentation, whether it's reading contracts, right? They could, you know, contracts take up a lot of our time as builders, reading contracts, sending letter of intents, you know, reading through purchase orders. Our vendors are using AI for inventory. So being able to find inventory that was probably more difficult to find certain products is faster now through AI, because they have other databases, you know, that they can pull from other manufacturers and other resources. And then you think about the engineering side. So the way our engineers, architects, designers, they are using AI for creating visuals for clients, for our trades. You know, the rendering software now, you know, it'd be pretty rare a few years ago to have 3D color renderings of a project. Now I can see it because I've been building, but our customers, it's really hard for them, even some of our trades. And now they're spitting those out so fast through AI. And so it really gives a visual to the client. The only thing we have to do now is to make sure that visual thing they're seeing matches the exact samples and product. It's like, if there's a small deviation of that, the client will be like, well, I saw this picture and this is a different color. Like, this is not what I imagined. So you have to be careful there, but it is helping with just design creativity for sure.
Also, like, I'm sure it's helping with upgrades. You're like, and you can put this pergola right here and this,
put this amethyst or this citrus.
I want a movie theater, like, and like subtracting things too from the picture. I mean, we built our home from scratch as well. It was not your type of construction.
No, but any home was tough. Yeah.
But still, just seeing like even like designing the backyard, like the pool, the spa. Like if we decided not to do the pergola part, but
I'm sure they used AI to build that out. The whole pool. It was spa. AI. Like, I'm pretty sure it was AI when they did that a few years ago.
It was cool.
Like, it was cool.
Well, here's something unique about AI. Just to expand on this is, so, you know, even working through chat, you can actually estimate projects. So it's a lot of time. I mean, this is months typically for me to estimate one of my projects. Yeah. And we're not at the point where we can completely rely on AI, but I can take a plan set of drawings and details and it can bid out the whole thing based on the information we're giving it, a database. And we can compare that with the real pricing we're getting to see where we're at. And then right now what's happening is one of there's a builder, Magleby, who built in Park City, Utah. And we built here, and I've talked to Chad many times with Magleby. And one of the issues we have is civil, getting through the city for civil. And what that means is, you know, civil's looking at like flood zones and, you know, how high the home is sitting upon the pads. And that way, you know, insurance plays a role. I mean, there's a lot of things, but we seem to always get the same red lines from the city. So now we have these checkpoints that we can take our civil drawings, putting into chat, and it'll spit out the red lines. So instead of wasting a ton of time, we can go back to the engineer and get those
Smart.
updated. So yeah, it's helping us QC that process so we can expedite it in pre-construction.
Yeah.
Have you used AI in anything related to like marketing for the business or anything like that? Or is everything just purely, I see you guys do really cool videos. Obviously you're going to show what's actually being built and things like that, but have you utilized AI in any marketing?
AI is kind of amazing that way because it can create plans for how you want to post, you know, and what content the users are seeing based on all of our posts to date. I mean, I've been posting every day for 10 years. So I can run through and it'll tell me like what things that, you know, our audience seem to gravitate
what they're
towards.
resonating with most.
That they're resonating with. And so it helps with our layout of social media strategy. You think about in the past as we're submitting for awards and different things, how long it take to write bios and descriptions. I mean, it does it in 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
So fast.
It's great.
You know, I'll put it in a picture.
Same thing with podcasts, right?
Yeah,
like you
same
can pull the
podcast.
transcript and it's like, here's
It's
the
right there.
bullet points, the hooks, the timestamps, the bios. You just put it all together. And then I love the fact of like using, you know, AI to like create more the customer voice though, the journey, the brand's voice of it too. Cause if you give it like 18, 19 different specific prompts that like, hey, allow for this copy to actually infuse the passion, the voice, the branding. And I think it's just, it's so unique. It's very helpful. I think obviously having the human touch behind things is still important on that side, but I think it's just the efficiency factor is amazing.
Oh, it's even like a Zoom call, we'll record a Zoom call and it transcribes it with the key points that we can just save. So, I mean, there's just so many elements there that, you know, I work with my sister on doing our posts. And so I could just upload a picture and it'll write the write-up for the day, which before it take me a lot of time and now it takes me 2 seconds. So
yeah, our whole team utilizes from the copywriting aspect, from all the reels that they pull, like the best hooks from the podcast, stuff like that. So they're pulling specific things, of course, reinfusing it in the customer voice, but like, I love the fact that we can be so efficient and then have a human like oversee the whole project.
Yeah. And then also like we're more focused on the strategy, like how to get more reach, engagement. We do the Google ads,
what are the best
video
hooks
views.
for marketing on that side? Which ones are doing the top performing from the content? Just like you were saying with yours too. It's like, have you seen like a specific type of video like on your Instagram? They're like, hey, this one's like the top performing. Like, does it start with a drone shot? Is it like open with like the cool bathroom doors, like, or the views? Like, what have you seen? Like,
I mean, drone shots always do really well. And where our videos have done really well, again, AI will take, so normally in the past, I could do a drone view of flying over a house under frame stage. It's great. Like no one sees a lot of that. I mean, a lot of people noticed that years ago, but now if you watch our videos, AI will we can upload what the home will look like with the finished landscape design, the pool design. It's not done yet. And so we can put all that in there. AI now will make the video showing the flyover, and as it's flying over, the house is getting finished, being built to completion.
I've seen one of those.
With the landscape, and we've done a lot of those. So again, AI is creating those videos for us, and then it's speaking to the client to give them the vision, give them the glimpse.
I love that. Yeah. You know, we watched your mini docu-series before we came.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we were like so inspired by it because like as business owners, we're constantly go. Like we're high performers, and we obviously know you are. Like, and just by like seeing your work ethic.
I know I saw the episode where you're like, oh, I get up at like 4:45 every day, you know, probably go to bed at like 10. But like one of the things that struck me was the story that there was a moment that you had in, I think, 2023 where you had a stroke and you basically felt like you were paralyzed. The doctor even thought, you know, it gave you a moment of a scare there. Can you share a little bit about that story?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I think a lot of us, I consider myself pretty healthy, you know, but you just don't know. Like there's little things that I didn't know that I had potential heart issues since birth. That I just always played sports, never knew. And, you know, when you add into it the stress of life, you know, as a parent, as a father, and running a business, being an entrepreneur, you know, as you mentioned, you're a high performer, there's a lot of things taking your attention. And, it was definitely a moment where, I could see in a way, you know, you say life flashing before my eyes, but it really happened. I mean, I was paralyzed. I didn't know if I'd live past that. When you have a stroke, it's unique because your like neurological system shuts down. So I'm sitting there present, there's no pain, but I have no signal. Oh my gosh. Like my toes aren't moving. I can't.
And
like
you
now,
were only 42 at the time. Is that correct?
Wow. Yeah. And so it's kind of scary when you have 6 kids, you know, and you have a business and 3 employees. And
did they say like what they felt like it was? Was it because you're always go and with things?
So
that
I
you
had
didn't
what's
know?
called a PFO. So when you're in the mother's womb, that's how you get oxygen through there. And then when you're born, it closes. Well, Come to find out, 20% of adults don't close.
Oh,
It didn't close in 1 out of 5.
Wow.
And now as this has happened, I speak to a lot of people that have had PFOs or had that closure.
Yeah.
So they did all the monitoring for 4 months after the stroke to make sure that it was isolated to that it wasn't like a blood issue or a heart issue. It was just that opening. And so that was closed. And so, but now, I have to be cautious. I go to the cardiologist.
What was your biggest lesson, I guess, learning from that? Was
I think it was understanding, I don't want to say delegation, but understanding that, how to rely on others, right? Because I think a lot of times, we're so connected to the brand and the company that there's things that we just don't want to let go of. And I just learned that I had to let go and trust my team with certain elements and not be on every single thing to really strategize my time. And I would say even as a father, like there's a lot of things that pull on me, but it was like, there are definitely more priorities I make for my children now that I didn't. Having lunch with my kids at school in elementary, that's so important. Like I never did that years ago. So sorry for my older kids, they know that, but they're great about it. But it's just, there's little things that, I'd say just one small thing, it's easy when your daughter, my little 8-year-old, she'll be like, Dad, can you carry me? And I'm like, no, you can walk. But I'm like, I'll pick you up. Because I don't know how much longer she's going to be asking me that.
Right?
Yeah, or how much I can do that. So those are little things where I say no to that I say yes to more.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's really important because I think it probably allowed you just to slow down for a moment on that side of like, what is a priority besides just the business side of it. It's also family. And I love that piece of it. So it's the little God wink or something that kind of came in. You're like, whoa, this moment. Pay attention, slow down. So,
and I think what was also really inspiring is that like the doctor told you potentially might not walk again. You're like, I'm not putting that thought in my head.
I love
like
that.
I'm going to walk again. And
like,
it's
I
going to
wasn't
happen.
even going to allow that.
And you saw that vision through. And that's really what, even with like Olympic, in the Olympics, like they're constantly seeing them land right. Like,
well, it's like that post with Lindsey Vaughn, right? She was like, I just tore my ACL, but I'm still going to compete in the Olympics.
I'm a little nervous about that one.
I was like, please don't blow your knee out again. Like,
it's funny how that perspective though, like that visual side, whether
she's
you're
like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Vision for the company, vision for your plan, like whatever that is, I read a thing studying like pro golfers and, most of us who golf, when I finish a round, and I love golf. I finish a round and I'm like, oh, but if I didn't have that bogey, if I didn't have that 3-putt, you're thinking about all the bad things. I'm like, I had a great score. Where the pro golfers are thinking like, I got up and down from like the hardest shot. I made a birdie here when I probably should have got a par. And so the only thing in the positive things is the negative. And there's something about that mentally, like to frame around positivity, which is hard to do.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, I'm grateful that you were able to come and join us today and just to share a little bit more about your story. Could you share with our audience a little bit more how they can connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm Brad Leavitt. If you search LinkedIn, it's pretty easy. Most of us know us as AFT Construction. So if you go to aftconstruction.com, if you look up AFT Construction on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, we're on all of them. You mentioned docuseries on our YouTube channel. We actually have a trailer going tomorrow because episode 3 is coming out next Sunday.
Cool.
So we have 3 more episodes coming. There's 5 total. So we've released the first 2, 3 more coming. So that'll come live. But yeah, everything's aftconstruction.com or Brad Leavitt. So pretty easy. And the podcast is Brad Leavitt Podcast.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate you. We'll be sure to link everything in the show notes and the descriptions, and definitely check out the docuseries. Everyone, we started watching it on our way here this morning, just learning a little bit more about you, and just love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And those that are watching, be sure to subscribe to Broadcast Your Authority. If you're listening on audio podcasts, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode.